The ship was cold, stood in line with 11 other human soldiers. They waited in silence. The metal floor was hard under their boots. None of them moved. None of them spoke. They were inside the royal flagship of the Empire. It was the largest ship had ever seen. The walls were black and gold. Strange symbols covered every surface. The air smelled different here. It was clean, too clean, like nothing alive had ever touched it. A door opened at the far end of the room. 2 tall guards walked in first. They were over 7 feet tall. Their skin was pale blue, almost silver in the light. Their eyes were large and dark, like pools of black water. They moved without sound. Then she entered. Queen had heard stories about her. Everyone in the galaxy had. She was young for a queen, only 200 years old by counting, but she had already conquered 3 star systems. She had ended wars with a single command. Some called her the Ice Queen. Others called her the last light of. She was beautiful in a way that made heart stop. Her skin was the same pale blue as her guards, but it seemed to glow softly. Her hair was white and long, falling past her shoulders like snow. Her eyes were silver, bright and sharp. She wore a long black dress that moved like water when she walked. She looked at the line of human soldiers. Her face showed nothing. No interest, no curiosity, just cold observation. "These are the humans?" she asked. Her voice was low and smooth. An officer stepped forward. "Yes, Your Majesty. They are the best soldiers Earth has offered for the exchange program." The Queen walked slowly down the line. She stopped in front of each human and looked at them. Some soldiers tried to meet her eyes. Others looked away. When she reached, she paused. Kept his eyes forward. He did not look at her directly. His heart was beating fast, but his face remained calm. "This one is small," the Queen said. The officer checked his tablet. "Private, Your Majesty." His records show high marks in protection duty. He served 3 years guarding human diplomats. "Protection duty," the Queen repeated. She sounded almost amused. "Can humans truly protect anything?" She moved on without waiting for an answer. Felt his face grow warm, but he said nothing. He had heard worse. Humans were new to the galactic community. Most alien races saw them as weak, short lives, soft bodies, no natural weapons. Humans were often treated like children at best, like pets at worst. The Queen finished her inspection. She turned to face all of them. "You are here because your planet wanted to show good faith," she said. "The Empire has agreed to accept human soldiers into our ranks. This is an honor your kind has not earned, but we are generous." She paused. Her silver eyes swept across the room. "You will serve, you will obey. You will not speak unless spoken to. If you fail, you will be sent back to your small planet in shame. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Majesty," the soldiers said together. The Queen nodded once. Then she turned and left the room. Her guards followed her like shadows. The human soldiers were assigned to different parts of the ship. Some went to the cargo holds. Some went to the engine rooms. Was surprised when the officer pulled him aside. "You," the officer said, "you will serve as part of the Queen's personal guard." Blinked, "The Queen's guard, but I thought only could serve there." "The Queen wishes to test human capability. You were chosen because of your record. Do not make us regret this decision." Nodded slowly. "I understand." That night could not sleep. He lay in his small room and stared at the ceiling. The Queen's personal guard. It was an honor, but it felt more like a trap. He knew she did not want him there. He knew she expected him to fail. But had learned long ago that the quiet ones often surprised people. He had grown up in a small village. He was never the strongest or the fastest, but he was patient. He noticed things others missed. He could wait when others rushed. He could stay calm when others panicked. He closed his eyes and thought of home. He thought of the mountains near his village. He thought of his mother's cooking. He thought of the small garden where he used to sit and read. He would do his duty. He would serve in silence. and he would show them what humans could do. The next morning reported to the Queen's chambers. The room was vast and cold. Pillars of black stone reached toward the ceiling. A throne sat at the center, carved from a single piece of dark crystal. The Queen was already there, seated on her throne. She was reading something on a glowing screen. She did not look up when entered. He took his position by the door. He stood straight and still. He did not speak. Hours passed. Guards changed shifts. Advisors came and went. The Queen held meetings, made decisions, and issued commands. Through it all, remained in his place. He watched everything. He listened to everything, but he said nothing. At one point, the Queen glanced at him. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You have not moved," she said. "No, Your Majesty," replied. "Are you not tired, bored? Your kind usually complains by now." "I am here to serve, Your Majesty. Complaining would not help me serve better." The Queen stared at him for a long moment. Something flickered in her silver eyes. Then she turned back to her work. "Perhaps you are less useless than the others," she said quietly. Did not respond. He simply continued to stand. He continued to watch. He continued to wait. The days turned into weeks. Learned the rhythms of the ship. He learned the faces of the advisors and the patterns of the guards. He learned when the Queen was tired and when she was angry. He learned to read her moods from the smallest movements. And slowly, without realizing it, the Queen began to notice him too. She noticed that he was always the first to arrive and the last to leave. She noticed that he never asked for breaks. She noticed that his eyes were always alert, always watching. She did not know why, but his presence began to feel less like an annoyance. It began to feel almost comfortable. But push that thought away. He was just a human, a useful tool at best. Nothing more. 3 months had passed since joining the Queen's Guard. He had learned many things in that time. He learned that they slept only 4 hours each night. He learned that they ate once a day, always at sunset. He learned that they valued silence and control above all things. He also learned that Queen was not as cold as she appeared. She worked harder than anyone on the ship. She read reports until her eyes grew tired. She listened to every complaint from her people. She made decisions that affected millions of lives, and she made them alone. The crown was heavy, realized. She carried it without showing the weight. But she never thanked anyone. She never smiled. She never showed weakness. Admired her for that. He also felt sad for her. The diplomatic summit was held on a neutral station called Haven. It floated in empty space, far from any planet. Leaders from 12 different species had gathered there. They would discuss trade, borders, and peace. Queen brought only a small group with her. 20 guards, 5 advisors, and he was the only human in her party. The station was crowded with aliens of all kinds. Saw tall, insect-like beings with clicking mandibles. He saw short, furry creatures with 6 arms. He saw beings made of light and beings made of shadow. The galaxy was vast and strange. The meetings took place in a great hall. The Queen sat at a long table with other leaders, stood behind her against the wall. He watched the room carefully. Something felt wrong. He could not explain it. The air seemed too still. The guards at the doors seemed nervous. Small things easy to miss, but noticed them. He looked at the Queen. She was speaking with a leader from the Federation. Her face was calm, her voice steady. She did not sense any danger. Moved slightly closer to her chair. His hand rested on his weapon. He scanned the crowd again. There, a figure in a dark cloak near the eastern door. The figure was watching the Queen too closely. Their hand was hidden under their cloak. His heart began to race. He could be wrong. He could cause a scene for nothing. The other guards would laugh at him. The Queen would be angry. But if he was right? The figure moved. The cloak opened. A weapon appeared, aimed straight at the Queen. Did not think, he just moved. He threw himself in front of the Queen as the weapon fired. The blast hit him in the chest. Pain exploded through his body. He fell backward, crashing into the table. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed forward. Screams filled the air. More figures in dark cloaks appeared from the crowd. They were everywhere. Lay on the ground. His chest was burning. He could smell his own blood, but he forced himself to move. He grabbed the queen's arm and pulled her down behind the table. "Stay low," he said through gritted teeth. "More are coming." The queen stared at him. Her silver eyes were wide. For the first time saw something other than coldness in them. He saw shock. He saw fear. "You are wounded," she said. "I am still alive," replied. "That means I can still fight." He pulled his weapon and fired at an attacker who was climbing over the table. The attacker fell, fired again and again. His vision was blurring, but his aim was true. The guards finally organized themselves. They formed a wall around the queen. The attackers were outnumbered now. One by one they fell. When the last attacker was captured, the room fell silent. Lowered his weapon. His arm was shaking. The pain in his chest was unbearable now. He looked down and saw the wound. It was bad, very bad. "Medic," someone shouted. "We need a medic." Felt hands lifting him. He saw faces above him, blurred and distant. He heard voices, but the words made no sense. Then he saw her. The queen was standing over him. Her white hair was messy. There was blood on her dress, not her blood, his blood. "Why?" she asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why did you do that?" Tried to smile. His lips felt heavy. "It is my duty," he said, "to protect you." "But you could have died. You almost did die, for me, for someone who has shown you nothing but coldness." His eyes began to close. The world was growing dark. "You are my queen," he whispered. "That is enough." Then everything went black. Woke up 3 days later. He was in a medical bay. Machines surrounded him, beeping softly. His chest was wrapped in bandages. He felt weak, but he was alive. A doctor stood nearby. The doctor looked surprised to see him awake. "You should not be conscious yet," the doctor said. "Humans usually take longer to recover." "I have always been stubborn," replied. The door opened. The queen walked in. The doctor immediately bowed and left the room. Tried to sit up, but the pain forced him back down. "Do not move," the queen said. She walked closer to his bed. "You have been injured enough." "I am sorry, Your Majesty. I should stand in your presence." "You saved my life. You do not need to stand for anything." She sat down in a chair beside his bed. For a long moment, she just looked at him. Her silver eyes were softer than he had ever seen them. "The attackers were from a rebel faction," she said. "They wanted to kill me to start a war. If you had not acted, they would have succeeded. I am glad I could help." "Help?" The queen shook her head slowly. "You threw yourself in front of a plasma blast. You used your own body as a shield. That is not helping. That is sacrifice." Did not know what to say. He had not thought about it. He had just moved. "My guards are trained for decades," the queen continued. "They are the best fighters in the empire, but none of them moved as fast as you. None of them saw the danger before you did. How?" Thought about the question. "I watch," he said simply. "I listen. I notice small things. Humans are not strong or fast. We learn to survive by paying attention." The queen was quiet for a moment. "I have underestimated your kind," she said finally. "I have underestimated you." "Many do," replied. "We are used to it." "That will change." The queen stood up. "From this day forward, you are no longer a common guard. You are my personal protector. You will answer only to me." Blinked. "Your Majesty, I am not worthy of such an honor." "You have already proven your worth with your blood." She looked at him with an expression he could not read. "Rest now. We will speak more when you are healed." She turned and walked toward the door, but before she left, she paused. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for my life." Then she was gone. Lay back on his pillow. His chest still hurt. His body still ached. But for the first time since he had arrived on this ship, he felt like he belonged. Something had changed today, something important. He closed his eyes and let sleep take him once more. The medical bay was quiet at night. The machines hummed softly. The lights were dim. Lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep would not come. It had been 1 week since the attack. His wound was healing, but slowly. The doctors said he would need another 2 weeks before he could walk properly, another month before he could fight again. Hated waiting. He hated feeling useless. The door to his room opened. He turned his head, expecting a nurse. It was the Queen. She was alone. No guards, no advisors. She wore simple clothes instead of her royal dress. Her white hair was tied back. She looked almost ordinary. "Your Majesty," said, trying to sit up. "Do not move." She walked to the chair beside his bed and sat down. "I told you to rest." "What are you doing here? It is the middle of the night." "I could not sleep." She looked at him with those silver eyes. "I find that I am often awake at night these days." Did not know what to say. The Queen of the Empire was sitting beside his bed in the darkness. It felt like a dream. "How is your pain?" she asked. "Better, the medicine helps." "Good," she paused. "I have been reading about human biology. You heal slower than, but you heal completely. We heal fast, but sometimes our wounds leave weakness behind. Your bodies are more thorough." "I did not know that." "There is much your kind does not know about us, and much we do not know about you." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small book. It was old, with worn edges and yellowed pages. "I found this in your room," she said. "I hope you do not mind. I was curious about what humans read." Recognized the book immediately. It was his collection of poetry from Earth. He had carried it with him across the stars. "You read my poetry book." "I did." The Queen opened the book to a marked page. "This one. I read it many times. I do not fully understand it, but it moved me." She read aloud. "The mountain does not rush to meet the sky. It simply rises day by day in patient silence, and one day it touches the clouds." Felt his face grow warm. It is about patience, about growing slowly but never stopping. "I know what it is about." The Queen closed the book. "It made me think of you. You do not rush. You do not push. You simply do your duty day after day, and somehow you achieved what my best warriors could not. I was just in the right place at the right time." "No, you were watching when others were not. You were ready when others were relaxed. That is not luck. That is discipline." She handed the book back to him. Their fingers touched for just a moment. The Queen pulled her hand back quickly, as if burned. "Tell me about your home," she said. "Tell me about Earth." Thought for a moment. "It is small compared to just one planet. We do not have many resources. We do not have advanced technology, but we have beauty." "What kind of beauty?" "Mountains that touch the clouds, oceans that stretch beyond sight, forests where the trees are so old that they remember the first humans, and seasons. We have seasons. Winter, spring, summer, autumn. The world changes 4 times every year." The Queen listened with her head tilted slightly. "That sounds chaotic." "It is, but also wonderful. Every season brings something different. In spring, the flowers bloom. In summer, the sun warms everything. In autumn, the leaves turn gold and red. In winter, snow covers the land like a white blanket." "Snow," the Queen said the word slowly. "I have read about it, frozen water falling from the sky." "Yes, when I was a child, I would catch snowflakes on my tongue. Each one was different. Each one was perfect for just a moment before it melted." The Queen was quiet for a long time. "On nothing changes," she finally said. "The sky is always the same color. The temperature never shifts. Every day is exactly like the one before. I used to think that was strength, stability, but now I wonder if we have lost something." "Change is not weakness," said gently. Change is how things grow. The queen looked at him. In the dim light, her silver eyes seemed almost warm. "You speak like your poets," she said. "I read a lot. Books were my only friends when I was young." "Why only books? Did you not have companions?" Shook his head. "I was different from the other children. I did not like loud games or fighting for fun. I liked to sit alone and think. The other children thought I was strange." "So you understand loneliness." "I do." The queen stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars. "I have been queen for 50 years, she said. "In all that time I have never had a true conversation with anyone. Everyone speaks to me with fear or with want. They fear my power or they want my favor. No one speaks to me as a person." "That sounds very lonely." "It is," she turned back to him. "But tonight, for the first time, I feel less alone. Is that strange?" "No," said softly, "not strange at all." The queen came back to her chair. She sat down and looked at him closely. "What do you want? Power, wealth, a higher position. Name it and I will give it to you." Thought carefully before answering. "I want to be useful," he said. "I want to protect those who cannot protect themselves. I want to make my family proud even though they are far away. I want to matter." "You already matter. You saved a queen." "I saved a person. The crown does not make you more valuable. It just makes you more visible." The queen stared at him. Something in her expression shifted. It was small, barely noticeable, but saw it. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. "No one has ever seen past the crown." Perhaps no one was looking. The queen laughed softly. It was a small sound, almost surprised. Realized he had never heard her laugh before. "You are a strange human. I have been told that many times." "I mean it as a compliment." She stood up again. "I should go. The servants will notice if I am gone too long." "Will you come back?" The question escaped before could stop it. He felt embarrassed immediately. But the queen did not seem angry. She looked at him with an expression that was almost tender. "Yes," she said, "I will come back." She walked to the door. Before she left, she looked over her shoulder. "Rest well and keep reading your poetry. It has made you wise." Then she was gone. Lay back on his pillow. His heart was beating fast, but not from pain. Something new was growing inside him, something warm and frightening and wonderful. He picked up his book of poetry and held it to his chest. For the first time in his life, he felt like someone truly saw him. And he knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The queen returned the next night, and the night after that. They talked about everything and nothing, about stars and seasons, about duty and dreams, about the weight of crowns and the freedom of simple lives. With each visit, the walls between them grew thinner. With each conversation, their hearts grew closer. And neither of them knew how to stop it. 6 months had passed since the attack, was fully healed now. He walked the halls of the royal ship with strength in his step. The other guards had started to treat him differently. They nodded when he passed. Some even spoke to him with respect. But barely noticed. His mind was always on the queen. Their secret meetings had continued. Every night after the ship grew quiet would come to his room. They would talk for hours. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they sat in comfortable silence. Once, she had fallen asleep in the chair beside his bed and had watched her peaceful face until dawn. He knew he was falling in love with her. It was foolish. It was impossible. She was a queen of a great empire. He was a human guard from a small village. The galaxy itself seemed to stand between them. But love does not care about logic. It grows where it wants to grow. One evening came to his room earlier than usual. She looked troubled. Her silver eyes were darker than normal. "What is wrong?" asked. "My council knows," she sat down heavily, "about my visits, about us." Felt his blood run cold. How? "Servants talk, guards notice. It was only a matter of time. She pressed her hand to her forehead. They called a special meeting today. They told me that my behavior is unacceptable. What did they say exactly? That I am dishonoring the bloodline, that a queen cannot have feelings for a human. They reminded me that I must marry a noble, someone worthy of the throne. Was quiet for a moment. The words hurt, but he was not surprised. He had always known this day would come. And what did you tell them? He asked. Looked at him. I told them nothing. I walked out of the meeting. They do not, she held up her hand. Do not tell me that they are right. Do not tell me to forget you. I have heard enough practical words today. Moved closer to her. He knelt down beside her chair so their eyes were level. I was not going to say that, he said softly. Then what were you going to say? Took a deep breath. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. I was going to say that I love you. The words hung in the air between them. His eyes widened. Her lips parted slightly. I know I should not, continued. I know it is impossible. I know that I am nothing compared to you, but I cannot control what I feel. From the first moment you looked at me with those cold eyes, I was lost. And every night we have spent talking, every word you have shared with me, every laugh, every silence, I have treasured them all. You are the most remarkable person I have ever known, and I love you. I love you more than I have ever loved anything. His eyes filled with tears. In all his time with her, had never seen her cry. You foolish human, she whispered. Do you know what you are saying? If you love me, your life will become impossible. My counsel will make you an enemy. My people will never accept you. You will be alone in a galaxy that hates you. I am already alone, replied. But when I am with you, I feel like I have found my home. A few hours with you is worth a lifetime of their hatred. Reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were cool against his skin. I love you too, she said. Her voice broke on the words. I have loved you for months. I tried to stop it. I told myself it was weakness. I told myself it was temporary. But it only grew stronger. Every time I see you, my heart races. Every time you speak, I want to listen forever. You have changed everything I thought I knew about strength and weakness, about humans, and about what truly matters. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. They stayed like that for a long moment, breathing together. What do we do now? Asked. I do not know, she pulled back slightly. My counsel will demand that I choose, them or you, the crown or my heart. Then choose the crown. The words were painful but meant them. Your people need you. Your empire needs you. I cannot let you give up everything for me. And I cannot let you sacrifice your happiness for my duty, shook her head firmly. There must be another way. A knock on the door made them both jump. Your Majesty, a voice called from outside. The council requests your presence, immediately. Stood up, she wiped her eyes quickly. When she turned to face the door, her expression was cold and controlled again. The queen had returned. I will handle this, she said to. Stay here. Do not leave this room until I return. Let me come with you. No, if you are there they will use you against me. I must face them alone. She walked to the door, but before she opened it, she looked back at him one last time. Whatever happens tonight, she said, know that you have given me something I never thought I would have. You have given me someone who sees me as not as the queen. That is worth more than any crown. Then she was gone. Paced his small room for hours. He could not sit still. His mind created terrible images, the council forcing to send him away, the council deciding he was too dangerous to live, the council making choose between her people and her heart. Finally, near dawn, the door opened. Walked in, she looked exhausted. Her face was pale and there were dark circles under her eyes. What happened? Asked quickly. I fought for you, she sat down heavily. I argued with them all night. I used every piece of logic, every political strategy, every threat I could think of. And they refused to change their minds. They said that if I continue to show favor to a human, they will call for a vote of no confidence. They will remove me from the throne. Felt like the ground had disappeared beneath him. Then we must stop. I cannot let you lose your crown because of me. I told them the same thing, looked at him with tired eyes. I told them I would end things with you, that I would marry a noble as they wished. His heart shattered, but he forced himself to nod. It is the right choice, he said, though every word felt like poison. I lied to them. Blinked what? I told them what they wanted to hear so they would leave me alone, but I have no intention of giving you up, stood and walked to him. I will find another way. I will change their minds or change the laws or change everything if I must, but I will not lose you. You are the first good thing I have had in 200 years. I will fight for you with everything I have. She took his hands in hers. Will you wait for me? She asked. Will you stay by my side while I fight this battle? Squeezed her hands. I will never leave you, he said. No matter what comes, I am yours. And in that moment, surrounded by enemies and uncertainty, they found something stronger than fear. They found each other. The rebels came without warning. They called themselves the Pure Blood. They believed that the empire had grown weak by allowing other species into their ranks. They wanted to return to the old ways. They wanted a new queen, one who shared their hatred. The attack began at midnight. Ships surrounded the royal flagship. Explosions shook the walls. The lights went out, plunging everything into darkness. Was in his room when it happened. He grabbed his weapon and ran toward the queen's chambers. The hallways were chaos. Guards were fighting. Servants were screaming. Bodies lay on the floor. He found in her throne room, surrounded by a small group of loyal guards. Her dress was torn. There was blood on her arm, but her eyes burned with fury. She reached for him. Thank the stars you are alive. How many attackers? Hundreds, maybe thousands. They have been planning this for months. She looked at her wounded guards. We cannot hold them for long. An advisor rushed into the room. His face was pale with terror. Your Majesty, the council members have betrayed us. Half of them were working with the Pure Blood. They let the rebels into the ship. His jaw tightened. So this is their answer. They could not convince me with words, so they chose violence. More explosions echoed through the ship. The walls shook. Cracks appeared in the ceiling. We need to retreat, the advisor said. There is an escape pod in the lower levels. We can get you to safety. And abandon my people, never. Your Majesty, if you die, everything dies with you. The empire will fall into chaos. Stepped forward. He is right, you need to survive. I will stay behind and hold them off. No, grabbed his arm. I will not leave you to die. Listen to me, looked into her silver eyes. I am one human, you are the hope of an empire. The math is simple. I do not care about math, I care about you. And I care about you, that is why I need you to live. He touched her face gently. Let me do what I was born to do, let me protect you. Tears fell from his eyes. I cannot lose you. You will not lose me, I am too stubborn to die. He smiled softly. Remember the poem, the mountain does not rush, it simply rises. I will rise again, I promise. Before she could argue, he turned to the guards. Listen to me, he said. His voice was different now, stronger, the voice of a leader. We need to buy the queen time to escape. Form a defensive line at the main corridor. Anyone who can still fight, come with me. The guards looked at each other. He was just a human, a nobody. Why should they follow him? But they had seen him save the queen. They had seen his courage. They had seen his loyalty. One by one, they nodded and followed him. Led them into the chaos. The rebels were everywhere, but they were not expecting organized resistance. Moved through them like water through rocks. He did not fight with strength. He fought with precision. Every shot counted. Every movement had purpose. Other humans on the ship heard what was happening. They came to help. Engineers, servants, soldiers from other posts. They followed because he was one of them. He was proof that humans could be heroes. The battle raged for hours, lost track of time. He lost track of how many enemies he had defeated. His body was covered in wounds, his arms ached, his vision blurred, but he kept fighting. Finally, reinforcements arrived. Ships from the outer colonies, ships from allied species, ships that had heard the Queen's emergency signal. The pure-blood rebels were surrounded. Their leader, a tall with hate in his eyes, was captured. The traitors from the council were arrested. When the fighting ended, collapsed. He woke up in the medical bay again. His body was wrapped in bandages. Machines surrounded him. But this time he was not alone. Sat beside him holding his hand. Her face was tear-streaked but smiling. "You are alive," she whispered. "You kept your promise." "Told you," said weakly, "stubborn." She laughed through her tears. Foolish, stubborn human. The door opened. A crowd of people entered. Guards, advisors, soldiers. They filled the room until there was barely space to stand, and they were all looking at. Stood and faced them. "This human," she said, her voice strong and clear, "saved your queen twice. He saved your empire. He led the defense when others ran. He fought until his body gave out. He is not weak. He is not lesser. He is a hero." She turned too. "For centuries, we have believed that strength comes from power, from size, from ancient blood. But I have learned that true strength comes from the heart. It comes from courage. It comes from love. And this human has more of those things than any I have ever known." She took a deep breath. "Today I declare my equal. He will stand beside me not as a guard, not as a servant, but as my partner, my love, my future." The room was silent, held his breath. Then slowly the guards began to kneel, one by one, then in groups, then all at once. They were not kneeling to the Queen. They were kneeling to him. "Long live," someone shouted. "Long live the human. Long live the Queen and her chosen." The cheers filled the room. They filled the ship. They spread across the fleet and across the galaxy. A shy human from a small village had changed everything. 3 years later, stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city of. It was his first time on the planet. The sky was purple, and the buildings stretched toward the clouds like prayers. Stood beside him. She wore a white dress, simple and beautiful. Today was their wedding day. Millions of people watched from below, and humans and dozens of other species. They had come from across the galaxy to witness this moment. "Are you nervous?" asked. "Terrified," admitted. She laughed and took his hand. "Good, that means you care." They walked out onto the main platform. The crowd erupted in cheers. Flowers were thrown. Lights danced in the sky. A priest spoke the ancient words. Vows were exchanged. Rings were placed on fingers. And when kissed his queen, the galaxy celebrated. That night after the festivities ended and sat alone in their chambers, the stars shone through the window. "I never imagined this," said quietly. "Any of this. When I was a child reading poetry in my village, I never dreamed I would marry a queen. And I never dreamed I would fall in love with a human," rested her head on his shoulder. "But here we are. Here we are." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. "What happens now?" asked. "Now we build something new. An empire where species do not matter, where strength is measured by character, not by blood, where anyone can rise if they have courage and heart." "That sounds like a lot of work." "It is, but we will do it together." She lifted her head and looked at him. "Are you ready?" Smiled. It was the same gentle smile that had captured her heart so long ago. "I am ready," he said. And together, hand in hand, they began to change the galaxy. The mountain had finally touched the clouds.